Hello world, and welcome back to the KenYa podcast, where we discuss anything and everything under the sun from the perspective of Ken and my lovely wife Yaro, aka the KenYa podcast. Yes, sir. So we thought we'd do a little recap of the year that has been 2025 on this second day of 2026, just so that we can gather our take or our opinions on the main events that we've seen occur over the last year, whether it's in local pop culture or international pop culture. We have some opinions about some of these events, so we just thought we'd discuss them between the two of us in front of you guys. And if you guys have any opinions about any of the events to discuss in this podcast, feel free to share your opinions on the comments. You can like and subscribe the video, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. So yeah, 2025.
That year went so fast. I feel like I still have to make my hand more to inclined to write 2026. Because like it feels so fast. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember the year started with like TikTok being banned in USA. Didn't go as people expected. People thought Americans would be immediately chucked out of the app, but turns out it was sold to a very prominent Jew called Larry Ellison.
Really?
Yeah.
And what do you think, if the US was out of the equation, would like content creators in Kenya be more, popular? Would this be like the next hub for where TikTok is popular and even monetization?
Well, for monetization, I think it highly depends on the purchasing power of the audience in that certain region. And the reason America or Europe is monetized on TikTok and Kenyans are not, for example, is because there is no clear passageway from a Kenyan viewing a video to them buying a product that is promoted in the video. But the consumer industry that is America, it's a country that is basically the final boss for consumerism.
Sure.
So even when it comes to the ad spend on Google or YouTube, you find they pay more for per view in America or Europe as opposed to a viewer who has watched a video here in Kenya, because of, first of all, the purchasing power. Their currency is much more lucrative than ours, and also they just consume on a completely different level than us. Here, most people who are online are below the poverty line. It just so happens that Kenya is one of the countries with the highest penetration for mobile phone, internet access from mobile phones. But most of those people accessing the internet are, according to global standards, below the poverty line. So I think that's why.
And also for the US TikTok ban, it brought a lot of controversy because people thought the app is gone, so they had like their secrets aired out, and then
I remember that. People were airing out their dirty laundry on TikTok, claiming, explaining how some of them explaining how they were scamming people.
Yeah, how it was fake.
Yeah, and then turns out they were still on TikTok the next day.
They just had to sit with that uncomfortable situation.
That was interesting, but I didn't expect too much from it. And TikTok was sold. Nothing seems to have changed. So yeah, it was just one of those. I think it was one of those stories the American government uses to distract people from what's actually happening. Yeah, most definitely.
True. What do you think about the story of Conor McGregor, that guy who fights people everywhere in the bars and old men? What do you think about him becoming was vying to be, was it an Ireland?
President,
yeah. Was that logical, to be honest? Do you think like people change to a place where they can be presidents and stuff?
I think that was a cocaine-fueled ambition, considering he retracted his vie for presidency after he got sober. Yeah, see, he went.
So he's the one who retracted. I thought like the government is like, nah, man, we've seen evidence and we.
Nah, I think that was definitely based off of his rampant use of cocaine that has been speculated for a long time, and just the fact that when he got sober, he said now he's given his life to Christ. He's now a family man, and that decision came alongside his decision to let go of the vying of the president's seat. So I think that was just a cocaine man, a cocaine man's crazy ambitions. I don't think there was any credence to it.
And that was just like in January. Those were like the top stories happening.
Oh, that was
like
Jan.
Crazy.
Didi started when? The
Didi started end of Jan, by the way.
It didn't start last year.
No.
With Cassie, the.
Oh wait, did they start in 2024?
I think so, if I'm not wrong.
Maybe end of 2024, and then people are just like, it's just a domestic violence thing. Then
then
coming up, and
in 2025 is when it became a court case.
Exactly.
But Didi literally carried the entire 2025 from the case, the Cassie court case lawsuit to the Didi documentary by 50 Cent. It's literally a story that has stretched along the entire year. But that was crazy, considering Didi is someone I grew up watching, not necessarily idolized, because he didn't know how to rap that well. And you could tell. I mean, I was looking at Didi rap like I could do that. That doesn't look too complicated, but the way 50 Cent produced that documentary and connected all these disparate stories that were once, just isolated hearsay, to connecting all those anecdotes into a coherent narrative that this guy actually might have been responsible for the deaths of Tupac and Biggie. That was very formative for me, because just because of the amount of media I've consumed over my life where Didi is involved. So I was very entertained with that entire case. What was the thing that was the highlight for you with the case?
I think just finding out that Didi actually, those baby oil, I felt like the baby oils were a stretch.
The baby oil?
Yes, I felt like maybe this guy maybe likes being moisturized, but
1,000 bottles for moisture.
Yeah,
that goes beyond moisture. That guy is trying to make his own ecosystem. Like if it's moisture, that guy is going for like rainfall, not even moisture.
I was thinking the other day, if someone would do a joke on stand-up comedy, to be like, did he do it? Then the person asks, Didi, who did it? Like, it's like...
See, that's what 50 was going for.
Really?
He was going to call the documentary Didi Do It.
Oh, really?
I don't know why he didn't... maybe some trademark issues.
True.
But Didi, man. But one thing I liked, or I picked up from the entire story, is how evil lurks in plain sight. Because many of those things he was doing or was accused of doing are legitimately evil, but the thing that sticks out is his self-perception. I remember that scene where he couldn't write a verse. I think the producer guy said that they were writing for 6 hours. He only had like 2 bars or something. Okay. And then he's like, "Yo, guys, if I stink, you guys stink, huh?" And then he goes into this rant, talking about like, this is like you guys are like in the presence of like Jesus, huh? Because I'm not mere mortal. I'm like Jesus, and he's looking at them like trying to mug them. Nigga, that's evil, dog. You want us to worship you? What the hell are you talking about?
I remember it was a song when they had broken up with, I think, Cassie or one of the girlfriends that he was having, and he was supposed to write those bars. I thought what the producer meant is like, it hurt him so much, it took him so much time to write, but I didn't see it in that perspective.
That guy was a psychopath. Bro, putting people, a male prostitute's semen on your nipples for whatever reason, man. That's just mad. I can't believe I grew up watching this guy, idolizing him for just to grow up and see that he is not shit. Like, he ain't shit. But I'm glad that the whole world gets to see that these material things we idolize this guy for, they don't mean anything in the scope of one's entire life. The thing that has some weight, the thing that carries meaning more than anything isn't the financial or material success you get. It's the kind of person you are, how you treat other people, the memories you leave in people's lives. That's the real wealth. And I'm glad that the whole world got to see it, even though those lessons aren't as explicit as I'm stating them right now. But intuitively, I think people realize that's what they were seeing.
Exactly. And while 50 Cent was putting 2 and 2 together, Uko Kenya Maths CBC, they said it's not compulsory.
What about CBC?
Well, they say that CBC is not a compulsory subject that they'll be looking
Maths
for.
Or
yes, maths.
In CBC.
Yeah. If you want to, because they had like the people who are going to do STEM, the people who are going to do literature and something like that. So they said if you fail in math, that's not...
That's like primary, yeah?
Yes,
like,
that's the primary, the grade 7.
I'm so far removed from the school system. But I mean, I think it's clear our government... Most Kenyans realize that our government doesn't care about its people. And not just doesn't care, it cares more about the individuals in government accruing financial, material wealth.
Yeah.
And by that factor, their concern is so much on the accruing of material wealth that they would rather downtrod on Kenya's populace. Yani they would rather have people less educated so that they are less vigilant of the crimes that they are committing in government.
Yeah.
I think the entire world is, when you look at from the Gen Z protests that Kenya started globally to the other Gen Z protests that happened across the world, paka Tanzania having Gen Z protests where, I'll have to give it to them. I thought those guys were spineless. But for their youth to be inspired by Kenyan youth and go out marching and demanding for some form of credibility in governance, I think it's testament to the fact that most people across the world, haijalishi kama you are below the poverty line, middle class, if you are elite, well, I think most elite are dismissive of this, but most people are aware that these governments don't care about us. They're not put in place to serve people, or even if they are co-opted by individuals that end up using these systems to feed themselves at the expense of the entire country's populace.
What do you think about that country which one was it where they burned down the state house and then they elected the new person on Discord?
Yeah,
online?
What was it? Was it? No, it was like one of those Indian countries. Yeah.
I don't know, the Myanmar or... I think so.
I don't remember.
But electing on Discord is crazy.
I mean, that just goes to show we do have systems in place that can guarantee election credibility. I mean, if we have an app like Discord where you can vote en masse, we can definitely create... we don't need a IEBC, for example, which can easily be hijacked to guarantee election results for a certain party. We don't need that, like a body that is that opaque to run a country's election. I think we can use similar systems like that, like Discord, or a similar kind of software or application that is transparent. Anyone can look under the hood and see how it works and see if it's working as intended, and maybe even keep it open source so that people with the expertise can validate it and see, okay, yeah, nothing has been tampered with, and we can trust elections that way more than it is. Sasa we go in ballot boxes, unasikia some ballots, some people aren't allowed to access them, or I think even there's this guy, the guy who gets mad a lot, the Francis Gaido.
Okay.
He's a political pundit in Kenya, and he exposed how politicians also gerrymander elections by how do they do this? They work around the borders set by the counties when it comes to voting, so that, let's say, if you're in Langata, they focus more on like the people who are in the slums in Langata as opposed to the middle class, and wanaenda tu wanawapea 50-50, so tano something like that, and that in effect leans the voting to the preference of the side who paid these people to vote. And that's a common thing. It's common in America, in American elections, and a similar thing happens here. But because we have opaque systems of election, we can't really tell when it's happening. It's not that obvious. So, man, if they open a server for Kenyan elections on Discord, I'm all for it. I'd rather vote that way than these physical votes that can be easily tampered with. You can pay someone nyamaze tu, and that's that.
Kwanza, after that, immediately there was this story of a guy who, the conductor, pushed out a guy because of not giving 30 bob for fare. There was that deficient. I think it was change. He was supposed to give. No, he gave the conductor like 50 bob, and then he was supposed to add 30. Then the passenger was like, nah, I'm not paying. Then he pushed him off the car, and that's how he died. Yeah, that was like on the Super Metro. And then that entire time, there were no buses in the Super Metro. I remember I was going to work, was crazy. I had to take, because I was working in Westlands.
There was a strike or what?
No, like the government said, all Super Metros now, if I find you on the road, you're done. So for me, because I was working in Westlands and I had to go back those sides like I had to take the cars that are going to Limuru.
Dying for 30 bob is crazy.
No. 30 bob is like, I don't know what that conductor was thinking.
Yeah.
And it was like a moving vehicle. It's not that he stood somewhere. No, it was just.
Was he like the old man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that story. Yeah, but I mean, that shows how people are suffering. Like 30 bob is a lot of money to someone.
True.
Yeah. That's wild.
Even when after that happened, then the blood moon was there, the red moon. Did you happen to see the red moon?
I think we were together, Mama.
Yeah, we were, but at first you thought it's the one that's on the horizon, that red moon that rises. But as it went up, it was really, really red. And that won't happen in like for the next 100 years or something. So yeah, it was a sight to see, and Kenya got to see. Because the lunar, solar eclipses and all that, they're just the US kind of stuff. Because most people just see the solar. Kwanza, do you remember the last time you saw a solar eclipse where like it's dark during the day? Just randomly.
I think I can't remember, but I think over in the last 5 years there was one. Maybe really? I'm confusing it with the lunar eclipse. I remember there was a lunar eclipse as well.
The lunar eclipse.
But yeah, no. We got to see the formation of the first sanctioned professional MMA promotion in Kenya,
yeah.
Anza MMA. That was dope to see, especially having been involved in the first amateur promotion they did, and the last amateur promotion they did in Mombasa, which was the first MMA promotion to be done in Mombasa. I actually had a fighter competing from our gym, Combat Kenya, which was dope. In fact, okay, the fighter wasn't even from our gym. He had passed by our gym, and it just so happens that we were at the same event, and he asked me to corner him last minute because he didn't have any coach. So that was my first, I guess, experience as an MMA coach in a fighter's corner. It was dope to see. The turnout was great. The fighters really put out, and I was very impressed by Gurai Brukwaro, who was the fighter fighting on Combat Kenya's corner. And he put up a good fight considering he didn't even have a fight camp. This guy was learning how to fight, I think, on YouTube or something. But he did great, man. I'm really proud of him, and seeing how his opponent also has gone into boxing and won his last fight. It was not an easy fight, yet he wasn't knocked out and he wasn't submitted, and the fight went the full 3 rounds, and he lost by the judge's call. Mm-hmm. And he went on to win his next fight, still training by himself. So that was a sight to see, and I was really glad to see that. Also, an extension of that is I got to train Godi Muay Thai, who is one of the best Kenyan Muay Thai athletes right now in the country. And it was on record. I think you see it on Ken Beda's YouTube page that Combat Kenya is the first place this guy has trained jiu-jitsu in, and he has goals of joining MMA as well. So if he ever submits someone in an MMA fight, the first place he learned jiu-jitsu was here in Combat Kenya. So that was amazing. 2025, sorry. 2025 was a great year for Combat Kenya.
I feel like at this point, martial arts should be something that's taught even in the Kenyan forces. Like, it's something that is rising, and it's a sport that anybody can do, from the little ones to even adults. Na pia itaki class weight.
Yeah, not necessarily just for competition.
Yeah.
You can just do it for fun. Grappling is so much fun, and I would recommend it. I would recommend Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to anyone who is looking for a fun way to get fit and also learn self-defense at the same time.
Speaking of getting fit, nowadays there's a shortcut, BBLs. It began with...
Yeah, that's not fitness, that's aesthetics. So here's your fitness.
Aesthetics. People are cutting short, especially with the rise of BBL in Kenya. Most people are doing it. I don't know, I feel like we will end up like South Africa, the way everybody is complaining, and then we have those people, the ones that do it illegally. They say petroleum and just nasty stuff. At this point, I think it's going to get there.
I don't think people have a clear idea of the connection between hard work and your fulfillment as an individual. I think there's an unhealthy leaning towards shortcuts. People don't realize if you actually spend a year, 2 years working on your body diligently, working on the discipline that you're required to get your body to whatever your goals are, that means so much more to you as an individual than if you just carve your ass for like over a 2-hour surgery session and then you have to sit in pain for how many months. I don't think the two can compare, or I don't think you can compare the two with regard to how fulfilled you feel as an individual.
True.
When you take either strategy. So I don't know. I think we should value virtuous suffering a little bit more. There's a clear connection between virtuous suffering and just internal fulfillment when you look at the natural laws that govern this reality we find ourselves in.
And I feel like the whole BBL culture, it's also something that westernization has brought to us. And that comes with even the African Americans coming and feeling home, especially around June is when we saw there's an influx. Everybody was like, I'm moving to Kenya, I'm moving to Kenya.
Yes, even that lady died.
Who?
The lady who died of
The BBL.
Yeah, BBL. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a Kenyan lady.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was a Kenyan lady who went to do BBL here in Kenya.
Yeah, I think she was a socialite or some sort. I don't remember who she was, but she was well known, and she died because of the procedure.
Do you think like some people, especially because it's an American thing, I'd say pop culture thing, would you think that some people would actually fly to Kenya to get the BBLs instead of Turkey? Would it get to that point?
Yeah.
Really?
I think it might if the surgeons who are currently in Kenya, if their track record is public and is seen, and especially with this new rise of medical tourism we are seeing with the African Americans coming en masse to Kenya I think we can see something like that eventually if these aesthetic surgeons do their thing.
With the rise of African Americans also coming in, what do you think? I feel like some Kenyans embraced it and thought, yes, this is a great opportunity to exchange ideas, exchange features that they'd like to see. But others also a bit skeptical, like these people are coming to take our
for good reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, you see stories like Yaro, which we covered. You can see why some people will be a bit hesitant to wholeheartedly accept just any open immigration into Kenya, because some of these people don't come here in good faith.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, most of them are coming in good faith. Most of them are coming here with some yearning to connect to something deeper than what they have access to in America. I think 2026 is going to be a year where people's search for meaning is directly connected to their careers, their career choices, the kind of media they put out, whether it's podcasts or music, film. I feel like there's a global awakening of people starting to realize that, wait, these legacy systems that we've been living under for the longest time, they don't really give us the kind of fulfillment we're looking for. People, I've seen so much content of people waking up from the matrix, people being disillusioned by working 9 to 5 just to continue working 9 to 5, just to maintain working 9 to 5. People are kind of done with that lifestyle. I'm seeing so many people quit their jobs, trying to figure out some form of entrepreneurship that, people would rather slave for themselves now than slave for a company that is not giving you any promises with regard to retirement or even your own well-being, your mental health. So I think all that is starting to coalesce and connect slowly, and I think 2026 is gonna be the year that movement becomes apparent.
Okay. Speaking of movements, with the death of Charlie Kirk, there's a movement that came up, especially in US, where they were saying it was, people are moving back to Christianity. People are beginning to see, as you said, escaping the matrix. Do you think that this Charlie Kirk was one of the things that made people have their eyes open to the truth?
Yeah. And the Charlie Kirk thing is crazy, first of all. I mean, anyone who, I guess, puts their personality or character on the line by declaring or talking about their opinions online, I think anyone who is in that realm of work, they saw something to be concerned about with Charlie Kirk's death. And I think anyone who cares about the truth, you don't even have to be Christian to recognize the shift that happened when Charlie Kirk died. But I think everyone who cares about the truth saw that, okay, this guy who clearly, many people will say that he was provocateur, he was divisive. But me, I think he just fought for what he believed in. And what he believed in was Christian values. And people will say, those are white nationalist Christian values. But I disagree. I disagree because there are so many real Christians who are Africans, for example.
Yeah.
There are also many fake Christians who are of all kinds of ethnicities. So I don't think painting Christianity or any faith with that, to begin with, any faith as completely taken over by white nationalists, for example, I don't think that's a credible worldview. I think what is apparent is that Christianity, just like every other religion, is trying to explain this reality we find ourselves in. It's trying to decipher natural laws and ways in which we act as human beings in congruence with those natural laws. Every religion is trying to do that, but from my own research, my own everything I've read, everything I've watched with regard to religion, I can see that Christianity does some of the best job, when you look at all religions combined, in explaining these natural laws and ways to live in line with them in a way that is palatable to any individual who is willing to read the scriptures. And there are some people who will use that to manipulate others for their own gain. But there are also many people who genuinely want to see the truth prevail. They want to see God's work prevail. They want to see people use this information that is useful in terms of acting out in the real world. They want to see that spread out to as many people as possible. And I think that's what Charlie Kirk was trying to do. And for people to trivialize what he was trying to do and politicize it to him just being racist, despite the countless times he's expressed that he wasn't, or being just white nationalists because he doesn't want illegal immigrants in his country. I think people doing that, using that argument to discredit what he was trying to do, I think it's a bit disingenuous. I think it's a bit callous. I think there's good reason to question what his motives were, but I don't think there's good reason to assume that he was just being divisive just because what he said didn't align with your worldview.
Yeah.
I think if you actually contend with the things he was saying, I think most people will agree if they looked at his arguments in depth. But even based on my own interactions with my friends, I've seen people just jump to talking points that fit, whether it's a leftist worldview or a progressive worldview, just so that they can, feel like they're right. But coming from a African who is very skeptical of the powers that are in line from a colonial legacy, I think the guy was actually he was good-hearted. Yeah, he really wanted to see a positive change in the world, and it's a shame that the outcome he got in his life was, being shot in front of the whole world.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whether that's the actual narrative or, as we are seeing from Kina Candace Owens, there might be more to it. But at the same time, I think his death supercharged the ambitions he had. So even like me, I was very reluctant to come online and express my opinions until I saw, like, damn, they are willing to take out a guy like that, Yani. But now that I get into it, I see the narrative is much deeper than what it looks like on the surface. And that's even more reason for me to come here and put my own character on the line to propagate the truth in whatever way I see fit. So yeah, that's the effect I think Charlie Kirk's death had on the world.
At first, okay, I didn't know Charlie Kirk until I met you. But looking back at the work that he's done and what he preaches, what he was talking about and his principles, I think they fall in line with what I'd like my life to be. And one of the things is, for example, the aspect of marriage, which it was a hard thing for me to sometimes, especially in Kenya, marriage is something that's usually pushed away. It's when you see the way Debiron was talking about marriage, Baba Mafala, that was also, it's really coincided with what Charlie Kirk was preaching and what we were actually even going through.
And to be fair, Chebetrono actually had some valid criticisms of marriage. I think a lot of her sentiment came from the idea that there are not enough good men out there. And I agree, that's true. I think men have to pull up their socks in all realms of society, whether it's in the family, being masculine goes hand in hand with being in line with reality, being in line with the truth. You can't claim you're a man when out of your mouth comes lies, for example. And there are so many guys. I mean, I think there has been a concentrated effort, especially from mainstream media. By mainstream media, I mean the news, the movies we've grown up watching, TV shows. There's almost this it's like a solid idea that people aren't willing to budge from, and people are very rigid with this idea, and that idea is that lying is normal. No one can live without lies.
Everyone lies.
Yeah, and they kind of want to normalize a life of deceit. But I don't think that's true. I think you can live your life without lying, or at least try.
Yeah.
And I think living without lies is like a muscle. You flex every day. You try to get better at it. And it starts with not lying to yourself first. You can't lie to yourself and expect to be honest to konje. And all this is a skill that there should be a mental health class or something in like CBC where it starts with that. You have to be honest with yourself. How do you do that? You have to analyze your thoughts. You have to recognize the idea that you are not your thoughts. You are just a receiver of the thoughts, and your free will comes into action when you choose a thought and roll with it, or a feeling or an emotion. And I don't think enough people, first of all, respect that fact or are even willing to take in that fact in their choices and their decisions. So, yeah, I think the idea of marriage Ubamba Mafala that was fronted by Debbie Rono, I think it holds a lot of weight, considering there are not enough good men or women to get married to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like also feminism played a role in that.
Hell yeah.
Because every woman is, I'm independent, I can do whatever, I don't need a man. But then when they actually find that man and it hits the dust, bites the dust.
What bites the dust exactly?
The relationship. Now they're like, yeah, all men are shit, all blah blah blah. But really, being feminine comes with somehow, I'd say, submitting to the masculine. Because if you already come with a masculinity in your relationship as a woman, there's a way that now you belittle the masculinity in your partner. That's the whole thing is everywhere. So I feel like that's something that it should be aligned in each and every relationship.
Yeah, and that goes hand in hand with what I just said. Yeah, there is no point in submitting to a man who's gonna lie to your face.
Exactly.
Because una submit akudirect mwende wapi? Mwende hell. And hell, heaven, all that's, it's a state of mind. I also don't think people realize that to the degree it is true. And yeah, I agree with Debbie Rono to an extent, but I also think marriage is worth it if it's done right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, speaking of the feminism and women in power, Samia Suluhu also, that's...
She ain't doing feminism any favors, I'll tell you that.
But that's with the riot, like you said, the Tanzanians, we thought like there'd be, now it's, the riots were crazy.
Yeah, but Samia was crazy too. How do you follow people in their houses, Maze? Hey, at a post election. Yeah, people were followed by cops in their houses, Maze, and killed in front of their families.
Damn.
That was intense. And she won up to Ruto on that one, actually. But it was, I don't know if it was just as bad as post-election violence from years ago. But yeah, I think that just proves that the issue isn't a man or a woman leading, it's virtue or evil. I think women are just as corruptible as men. It doesn't matter whether you put a man or a woman at the helm of leadership. At the end of the day, what matters is whether that's a person who cares about being a good person, about making good choices, not just good for them, but good for their entire community, their surrounding, their society, their families. I think that's part and parcel of being a leader. And we've politicized it so much that we think, if we put a lady there, it's gonna be good, but nah. Man, woman, ethnicity, kwe Mkamba, Mjaluo, Mkikuyu, haijalishi. What matters is who is a good person and who is not. And that's the real metric we should be judging people with, not ni ukabila, sijui ama gender. All that is bullshit, man. Like,
while we're still speaking about leaders, we also lost in the same month a really great leader, Raila Odinga. And that was a really sad moment, especially because right here we had a billboard saying that he was supposed to go to Mombasa that month, and then he didn't make it.
Yeah, man, old people die. What can I say? I mean, RIP to his family for sure. Raila.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, RIP to Raila, and condolences to his family on the loss for sure.
Yeah.
But me, I've completely lost faith on the political apparatus we have as a country. And that comes from someone who has been directly involved in political campaigns here in Kenya. I'm not willing to go into details. Maybe I will in a future date. But I won't go into details now because I care about my life. But I have guaranteed proof that elections are a farce in this country. But I keep that to myself. That's just my opinion. I might be wrong, but I'm not.
There were so many AI photos of him being portrayed, and there's this one that was trending, and looking at that trend, I feel like AI is really rising. And
what was trending?
There's a picture of Raila which was trending, that he had like all the world leaders together in heaven or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like AI has the tendency to do, people use AI for those type of photos. And even there's now the rise of AI music, which has even charted billboards, like
making millions.
Exactly, making millions. And it's even popular on TikTok. Some people may have had it, even used the audio in the sounds. I feel like AI is really taking people's jobs seriously. It was something that people are saying, no, it can't. Humans are still superior. Unless you're like hand in hand makeup artist type of thing where you have to work on somebody's face like that. I feel like AI can take anybody's job at this point.
But aren't you tired of like AI slop, for example? I saw this list of the countries consuming the most AI slop. And USA was, of course, the top of the list. But Kenya was nowhere on that list. But Kenya is top of the list of countries using ChatGPT.
Oh.
So that actually gave me a lot of hope, because that means Kenyans don't care so much for the AI slop, but we do care for the efficiency that comes with working with ChatGPT, for example. But I just think that speaks a lot on, considering we're one of the countries with the highest social media, online presence in the world.
Okay.
For us to rank low on the AI slop consumer list, but yet we rank high in ChatGPT use lists. That shows that we are on the right track in terms of using AI in a way that benefits humans, as opposed to just using our presence online to just consume AI slop.
Something random. You also saw the dancers in China who are AI, the robots.
The robots. I don't think they are AI. I think those moves are programmed in them.
Oh.
Yeah, but the robots are coming.
Yikes. But I don't think AI can take certain world records like the one that Rufena did, where she was hugging the tree for 72 hours. I find that really impressive.
Yeah. There are definitely endeavors that are still can only be done by humans. And it felt like she took the proverbial baton from Wangari Maathai.
Yeah.
But people didn't like how now when she started addressing her fans online, alikuwa na accent ya America sijui.
Really?
So people were dissing her. Sasa hii accent imetoka wapi mazee? Accent imekuja na attention ya wazungu, stuff like that. But people could switch all the time. The way you talk to your parents isn't the same way you talk to your teacher. So I don't get what the big deal is with Kenyans acting like a switch in accent is all of a sudden mtu ametusaliti or the.
There were also some people who were saying that she did it for, I'd say, clout, because they were saying if you really want to do a change, you go and plant an actual tree instead of hugging a tree that's already there.
Who says she has a?
True.
You can go plant a tree and go hug a tree after. Mi sijui kama ameplant ama hajaplant, but I think in terms of bringing awareness to deforestation and stuff like that, I think that she did a good thing, and it was. That's what the Guinness World Records are there for, to be broken, and she was breaking her own previous record. So, more power to her.
And it's so inspiring to see young Gen Zs do such kind of, initiatives to bring better to the world, I'd say. And another thing that also Gen Zs like is concerts. And this year, the concert at Ashake, the Tukutani Entertainment concerts. They're the ones who actually brought Ashake. And it was not well planned, and a girl died in the concert. You saw that story?
Yeah, but not too much of it. I mean, not a concert guy. I'm not sure that's I'm pretty sure that's not the first death that has happened because of a stampede in a concert.
True.
Yeah, so again, RIP to that lady, and condolences to her family. And yeah,
the people or the organizers should take more accountability for that.
Definitely. Yeah.
We cannot be having rising numbers of teenagers and Gen Zs dying over a concert of all things.
But I think after that death, it raises the same concerns like with Anthony Joshua and how he was in a car crash in Nigeria and 2 of his colleagues passed away because of lack of infrastructure. There wasn't any ambulance in sight to take them to hospital. I think that raises the same issues, the lack of systematized infrastructure here in Africa. It gives us an opportunity to improve in those, in those systems. It gives us a reason to try and strive to be more professional in the careers we endeavor into, in our governmental policies, in every realm that requires or is dispensed with service to people. I think the onus is on us now to improve our system so that things like that don't continue happening, because they've been happening for a long time. That's the truth. So yeah, it's time for us to improve on what was left from our colonial predecessors.
And you think that's a reason why Africans also moving out to go to diaspora, like the US, like the way now there's a story about the Somalis in Minnesota, and the way there's fraud happening that was recently revealed, and there's still investigation going on.
Yeah, that's part of the reason people, of course, emigrate to other countries, but sasa unaenda huko alafu unapeleka the same nonsense that umehepa huko.
Yeah.
As in, if you go there, one thing I've seen from these African Americans that I appreciate is they have this expectation of systems to work. Like they come here, they're like, wanaita hii kuitisha kitu kidogo, like it's scamming.
Yeah.
When sisi tunaona ni kama kusaidiana. As we see it like humanity, them they see it like these systems aren't working. And of course, the truth can include both perspectives, but honestly, you can't escape a system that doesn't work here and then go to another country and employ the same strategies that make the systems here not work over there, and then talk down on the people in that country like that you are superior to them. I don't know if they realize how much negative PR they are bringing on themselves as a community by, first of all, not acknowledging that these things are happening, scapegoating, trying to act like Somalis are perfect. They are digging themselves into a ditch that will be very hard to dig themselves out of, especially in this age where we have internet police perusing everything that is uploaded on the internet, trying to see who is bad, who is good.
Yeah, what's true, what's not.
Yeah, the mechanics that we used to work under in kitambo, where ati CNN ndo inakuja inakuambia ati yes, this is a bad person, you guys better listen to us. It's over. Right now, me and you are the news sources. Anyone with a camera is a news source, or propagator of information. So we are heading into a future where truth telling has been democratized in a real sense. Yeah. It's been decentralized. So there are no more police of the truth that are just institutions that are up here and they're telling us that you guys better listen to us. That's over. 2026, we are going into a world where everyone is policing each other. And I don't know if have you heard of this the glass jar experiment?
No.
It's this experiment where this guy in the 1800s in the States, this guy did an experiment where he had a glass jar and he will go about asking people in like a town to guess how many jelly beans are in the glass, or how many beans are in the glass jar. And individual guesses were all often wrong. But whenever he did this in different towns, different cities. Whenever he took the average of all the individual guesses, they came up to like 1 digit accuracy of the actual number of beans in the jar. So it's a well-known statistical anecdote, not even an anecdote, experiment that is known, where if you take the average sentiment of the people, you end up with a very accurate account of reality.
Okay.
But singular guesses or singular accounts are so disparate. They are so far apart that a single person's perspective won't pinpoint the truth. But if you take the average, it's almost without fail, you will find the truth. And that's the reason why you're seeing betting is becoming mainstream. And they try to call it prediction markets, where now you can bet about anything, whether it's political outcomes or even pop culture outcomes. Anything now is going into now the prediction markets. And what you find is these prediction markets have high, I think there's this one, the biggest one that is known right now is called Polymarket. And I think their success rate for like political events is about 100%, almost 100%, the accuracy of how they predict political events. And not just political events, this goes for all kinds of events that are put on that prediction market. So I don't know if it's a well-known fact, but it is a fact that if you take the average sentiment of a populace, you are very close to arriving at the truth. And that's what we are getting with the internet right now. The internet is maturing into a space where it can be seen as a global prediction tool. And you couple that with AI and soon coming quantum computing, I think we're gonna see a future where something like the system we see in Minority Report, that movie with Tom Cruise, where the police can guess accurately that you're gonna commit a crime even before
you've committed.
You're thinking of it. I think that's very possible because of those dynamics at play, merging and coalescing to become one thing.
I think that sums up what happened in 2026, the highlights. And the Somali one was Somalis in Minnesota was the last one of the year, I'd say so.
So I think that's a sufficient summary of the year from our perspective, Ken and Yaro. We're gonna be doing more of these, just talking about pop culture topics that span the entire realm of media online. So with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. If you liked the content you've watched so far, like and comment on the video, subscribe to our page, and until next time, coming from Kenya with love, peace.